Smile too. All right, welcome to Atlanta's newest homeowner. We are live, and I'm so glad to have you guys joining with us today. Hey, my name is Matt Martin. I'm your host, and this community is dedicated to helping as many people as we can achieve the dream of homeownership. So each week, I bring you helpful videos, tips, and live interviews with professionals around Atlanta to help equip you with the knowledge, the tools, and relationships that you need to become Atlanta's newest homeowner. So don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button for more content like this. And today I am joined by Bobby McDonough who's the owner of National Property Inspections, and he's a home and commercial property inspector serving Metro Atlanta. So welcome, Bobby. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Matt. I'm excited to be
Yeah.
here.
So could you?
Lots to talk about.
Yeah, absolutely. So could you tell us just a little bit about your business and what you guys do to help first-time homebuyers?
Yes. So, as Matt said, I'm Bobby with National Property Inspections. We are one of Atlanta's oldest inspection service providers, as well as one of the nation's oldest inspection service providers. We were founded in 1987. And that's really when the whole home inspection market began. Before 1987, houses really were not inspected during a real estate transaction. So then you fast forward until 2008, and that's when my dad started the National Property Inspections franchise here in the Atlanta market. He started the franchise 6 months before the real estate market crashed and had kind of a difficult time building himself up to be successful in this Atlanta marketplace. And over the years, we have grown and grown to be, like I said, one of the oldest in Atlanta and also one of the most trusted.
Awesome. Absolutely. So what all kind of scope of services do you guys offer?
So we offer the all of your standard home inspection services. A typical home inspection is going to cover all of the major systems and components in a home. I inspect everything from the roof to the foundation and the exterior siding and lots and grounds. Then on the interior, I'll inspect the electrical system, plumbing system, mechanical systems, all the interior spaces. And we also offer additional services like radon testing for radon gas, mold testing or indoor air quality testing for the presence of any airborne mold spores. We also provide infrared imagery when requested for example, if there's drafty area or room in the house that might be missing insulation that's not easily accessible or readily accessible, that infrared camera kind of gives us a way to look into walls for areas that we can't typically see. Another service we offer is sewer scan of scoping the underground sewer line from the home main drain line all the way out to the street, which is very important in Atlanta with the number of older homes that we have that have cast iron drain lines. Those drains are all past their design life at this point, and would be a wise decision to have checked.
Yeah, so we'll dig into each of those things in just a moment because it's really helpful information. But I just want to back up and start us off with when to get an inspection, how to get an inspection, all that. So I share with first-time homebuyers that real estate is a team sport, so you need a lot of people on your team to help you accomplish your goal. So you'll have your realtor, you'll have your lender who's helping you figure out your mortgage. There's a closing attorney, so buyers get to choose the closing attorney for the transaction. So it's helpful to have a good closing attorney that you trust. And today we're talking about another important part of that team, which is your property inspector. And so it's really crucial for every home buyer, not just for first-time home buyers, but for every home buyer to get a really good inspection of the home, because that can help you know what you're going into. It can help you know what to negotiate for. But especially for first-time home buyers, because if you've never owned a home, you're not really sure what can go wrong in a home. So you really just, you don't know what you don't know. And so that's why the inspection is really helpful. But also for home buyers, it can be very discouraging too, because there's this roller coaster of emotions, and you get really excited because you found this house that you can envision yourself being in, and you're dreaming about, you're putting, a lot of money on the line, and you get this inspection, and then you're going to find this list of things that's like, oh man, the water heater's old, or there's been signs of water intrusion in the crawl space or the basement. And so it can kind of be discouraging to get that report and find out, oh man, this house has problems. But the reality is that there's no such thing as a perfect home. Every home needs maintenance. And a lot of times there are items that just get deferred by the previous seller. So there's, normal maintenance items, and, HVAC systems, they have a time life, a service amount of time that they're in service for, and then they get old, right? And so eventually they need to be replaced. And so if you're buying a home that's been lived in before, a resale home, you're going to have kind of a punch list of items that come from the inspection that tell you how old those items are, how old the roof is, and if things need to be repaired, if things need to be replaced, and also just major kind of warning signs of really costly repairs. So first off, I just want to frame for our listeners, when to get an inspection. So it's not after you've bought the home; it's actually during the process of buying the home. So once you find a home that you want to purchase, so you've gone to go look at it with your agent, and you're going to submit an offer, which is really it's a written contract that you sign, and you're hoping the seller's going to sign it. But usually there's a little bit of a back and forth based on terms. And so there's some negotiations that happen before. Eventually, when everybody agrees on terms, the seller will sign the contract, and then you have this binding agreement that you will buy the house in X number of days. Maybe it's 30 days, maybe it's 21 days, whatever it is that you've agreed upon. And usually in that contract, there is a due diligence window. And this is a really important part of the contract. So a lot of people were having to waive it just to get into a house before. But now it's really important to make sure you have this due diligence window. So during due diligence, I call it this magical window, because if you change your mind, you can back out. If you find that there are major costly repairs, you can back out of the contract and without penalty. And so that's an important thing to know. So due diligence is really your period. So it could be 7 to 10 days for you to get a really good home inspection. And sometimes they'll recommend, other inspectors to come in and maybe to look at the pool or to look at the roof and things like that. So that this is when we're talking about getting a home inspection, it's during the due diligence period. And so then you'll have this report, which is really this data, this information for you to be able to go back and negotiate with the sellers and say, hey, this is older than we realize, or there are these major problems going on in the crawl space. We need you to fix them, or we need you to contribute cash at closing so that we can fix them. So this is why, a really good inspection is really important for you in purchasing your home, and being able to make sure that you're not incurring these huge expenses, especially for a first-time home buyer. You don't have a lot of cash, and so having to pay $10,000 out of pocket just to fix something major, that's a really big hit. So Bobby, walk us through for just real quick. So say somebody's under contract on a house, they have a week of due diligence, and they call you up to come do an inspection. Will you just walk me through your inspection process? Like, what does it look like as you enter the home? What are you looking for? What kind of systems? All that kind of stuff.
Of course, I certainly will. And just to tie into what you're saying, what you just kind of presented for us, Matt, is when you go under contract, that is when you're going to want to call me. My phone number is right there. That's when you're going to want to call to order the home inspection or talk with Matt about scheduling your home inspection. It's the more time that you have during that due diligence period to understand what's happening with the property, the better educated you are to make that decision as far as if it's the right home for you, if you are willing and prepared to take on whatever defects might be presented with it, or if it poses to be just too much and it's, hey, we need to we need to back out of this and find a new home. So as soon as you go under contract is when you're going to want to call your inspector. And what does the inspection entail? So we arrive on the property, and the inspection actually begins before I even park my truck. As I'm pulling up to the home, I'm already looking at the house. I'm looking at the yard. I'm looking at the roof a little bit as I pull up, because everything is kind of tied together when it comes to a home. If your home is built at the bottom of a hill, the street is up here and your home is down here, and your front yard dips down towards the home, there might be a chance that there's water getting into that basement. It would be very important that the very close surrounding grading around that home is sloped properly to avoid water. So the inspection starts as I'm pulling up. I'll be looking at the roof quickly, just seeing, making just mental notes as far as how it might be looking. But what is an inspector looking at? I'm looking at everything from the exterior foundation, trying to see, is there any cracks? How does this foundation look? Because that's the bones and the structure of your home. You want to make sure, first and foremost, that this home isn't experiencing any severe settlement or severe stress to it. So we inspect the foundation, and all this information that I'm posing to you, I want you to use while you're walking through these houses with Matt. Do your own due diligence as you're looking at the houses, because this is an emotional time, and it is easy to get very emotionally tied to a home before the inspection happens. And then when I come through and I start pointing things out, like Matt said, oh, the water heater is leaking, it needs to be replaced, the roof is leaking, furnace or electrical, there can be issues can start adding quickly. So the more information you have before you get your inspection is the better. Take a look at that air conditioner. How does it look? Does it look new, or does it look really old? Because that's something I'm going to be making a pretty big part of my inspection. If it's past that usable design life, that's very important information to know. You might be able to negotiate. That's where Matt would come into play, as far as getting some concessions off of the home, or negotiating repairs, or even at a very least just understanding what you're buying so that you are prepared to take on the maintenance yourself as time goes on. Because as you said, Matt, every home requires maintenance, a high level of maintenance, a lot more maintenance than you may have experienced with a rental property. Getting back, I'm sorry, I kind of went off on a tangent, but getting back to what is the inspection? So I start outside and I'm walking the property around it, looking for the grading around the home, making sure water's not directed, looking at the foundation, the siding, and the roof. And then inside the home, I dive into the electrical panel. I'll take the whole cover plate off of that panel and look at the wiring in there. I'm looking for things like aluminum wiring. Aluminum wiring is a fire hazard. You definitely don't want that in your home. I'm looking for things like incorrectly wired breakers. If the system is not grounded, things like that. The heating and air system, I test the functionality of both the furnace and the air conditioner, making sure they're heating and cooling properly, in addition to deeply inspecting visually for any defects. Maybe a furnace might be functioning fine, but once you open it up and look inside, hey, there could be rust and corrosion inside, or other items that would require maintenance that you're going to want to know about, and at least schedule those maintenance to take place to preserve what's already in the home. We inspect the attic for any signs of leaks, any signs of damage to the framing up there. We inspect the insulation, looking for signs of pest intrusion. That's common in Georgia, with as many trees and wooded areas that we have. Pests can get up into the attic. We're looking for that. You'll see right behind me here, these are warranties that come with my inspection. Any good inspector is going to provide warranties to protect not only themselves, but to protect their buyers as well for unforeseen things. The air conditioner might be working just fine at the time of inspection, but then when you move in, any life happens, anything can happen, and the inspection is a snapshot of time of the day of the inspection. So if a system is working at that time and then it fails on you within the first 90 days, that's where this warranty would come into place to protect you from anything like that. We do a recall check on all the appliances. So then if there is ever a recall on the furnace or the water heater or the refrigerator, for example, you'll get notified of that and you can schedule a free repair for that. Sewer Guard protects the underground sewer line in Atlanta, going back to the underground sewer line at your home. Going back to what I talked about with the cast iron drain lines in Atlanta, this is very, very important because that's underground. That's not something that can be seen by an inspector. So having this level of protection is just protects you as a buyer for a backup or a leak that would not have been possible to uncover at the inspection. So I'm not going to dive into all of my warranties, but they cover everything from the roof to the plumbing system. There's a mold safe warranty. I do mold testing. I do radon testing, like I said. There's a radon warranty here too.
Yeah, those are really great offerings, especially along with the warranties. And I don't want to freak out first time home buyers and thinking like all these things that could go wrong. But you know, there are some things that are nuisance items that you can fix in the future. You can upgrade your home over time, and then there are just health and safety things. You know, they're really important to pay attention to. You know, a problem with the furnace. You can have a cracked heat exchanger and carbon monoxide be leaking into your home and things like that. So, you know, obviously with electrical and fire hazard, you know, there's a fire hazard for your family. But, you know, other things are things that you can upgrade and fix over time. And a good inspection will help you uncover what those are. But I just want to say that Georgia is a buyer beware state, which means that once you close on the home, once you own the home, if you discover a problem, either with the electrical or you know something in the crawl space or things like that, it's very hard to prove that the seller lied to you about any of those things, right? And so you have to have kind of like very convincing evidence that the seller misled you or purposely didn't tell you about these major things that were going on with the home. So that's why it's really important to have this good inspection so you know what's happening with the home before you close on it. And you know, there's always things that I find that that people miss on inspections in the home. You know, like there could be a rug that's over, you know, a water stain on the floor. There's shelves in the basement that are hiding, you know, maybe where water had been coming in through one of the basement walls. So I think it's impossible to know 100% of everything that's going on with the home, but a really good inspector can help you uncover 95% of what's going on in the home. And I think that's really good peace of mind. But I know that there are a lot of inspectors who aren't crawling into the crawl space, who aren't getting into the attic. Bobby, what are some things that you think are commonly missed by a poor inspector?
Well, for example, what you just said, you know, missing a crawl space or missing an attic, that would be missing a major system or major component of the home. The crawl space or the attic, let's just focus on the crawl space. That is, in my opinion, the most important aspect of a home inspection if the home is built on a crawl space. Why? Because that's an area that the homeowner's never going to go down. It's underneath the home. A lot of times they can be a little dirty or there's some spider webs down there. There's usually not much of a reason to go into your crawl space. Maybe your furnace is down there, so you have to go every 90 days and replace a filter. But more often than not, people are hiring a heating and air technician to do that, and they're not seeing that themselves. So things that could be missed by a poor inspector would be missing a crawl space and not even inspecting the structure of the home. In the crawl space, that would give light to, is water affecting the foundation of the home? Is there mold growth on the floor joists or underneath the home? Are there plumbing leaks underneath there? I do, before I lose this thought though, I want to go back to what you mentioned about scaring home buyers and everything. I'm not
Hmm.
trying to do that right now. And I understand that
Right. Hmm.
this is a scary time, that this is probably the biggest investment of your life. I am here to protect that. I'm here to protect
Hmm.
you, and I have your best interest in mind. I'm hired by you, and I'm working for you. I own the company, and I perform all the inspections that I can myself. I have a team of inspectors that I have trained myself and put them through training back in Omaha at our parent company. I'm ASHI certified, which is the American Society of Home Inspectors. It's the oldest and most accredited certification level that's obtainable. I'm not trying to scare about what could happen. Anything
Hmm.
can happen. You know, there was
Right.
old homes that materials were used that have been found to be dangerous, like asbestos, for example, is a carcinogen. I know how to find asbestos, and I'm looking for things like that. So it's important to know.
And
Uh,
it's not just old homes too. You know, homes built in the 90s will have certain types of plumbing that were utilized that, or sheetrock that were found
yeah,
to be hazardous and things like that. So there's more things to pay attention to than just older homes as far as construction materials as well.
yeah. I always recommend a home inspection, not just because I'm the home inspector, but because I hired a home inspector to inspect my own home too. I need to know what's going on with this purchase. I need to know what's going on with the home, because repairs can be very costly. And my
Mhm.
family is here. My home that I'm sitting in right now tested positive for radon, very
Mhm.
high levels of radon, 8 times higher than what the EPA says needs to be mitigated.
Yeah,
So
tell
that
tell us more. What is radon? Where does it come from? You know, why is it important to test for radon?
Okay, well, again, I don't want to scare, because radon is it's prevalent everywhere. Anywhere in the country is susceptible to radon. And what is it? It's a gas, a tasteless and odorless gas that um, comes up from the ground. It comes up from the earth. It develops as granite and other rock deteriorate deep underneath the soil. So as granite is breaking down, it starts to emit radon gas along with other chemicals and other gases. But that radon gas is a carcinogen. It's the second leading cause of lung cancer after smoking. If you are a smoker, radon levels will double your chances of getting cancer
Oh wow.
from smoking and radon combined. So it's very important to have this tested. Um,
And we have a lot of granite here in the Atlanta area, right? Not just at Stone Mountain. You know, we have veins running all throughout Atlanta.
yeah.
And from what I've told, you know, the way that the gas comes up from the ground can shift too. You know, so
Hmm.
you know, 5 years ago, your home may not have tested very much for it, but you know, today it might. And I guess
Yeah,
also weather systems moving through can cause more of it to come out of the ground than normal.
of course.
But it's certainly important to pay attention to, especially as our homes get more energy efficient. There's a tighter seal and insulation on windows and things like that. So radon can really build up over time in your home.
Exactly, Matt, and that's the problem with it, or the potential hazard potential to the occupant is, once radon does enter the home, there's not an easy way for it to get out. So when you're running your heating or your air conditioning system inside your home, that's just creating a vacuum, and it's pulling at the foundation, pulling at windows, doors, and everything, and it will pull the gas into the home through hairline cracks. It'll pull it through the porous nature of the concrete in the foundation or the slab. You don't have to have a cracked slab for it. You don't have to be on a basement. You don't have, any home is susceptible. Some homes have more potential. A basement where they dug up the ground to pour the
Mhm.
concrete, they moved the earth. That's going to have more potential for radon than for, say, for a slab that was just poured. They barely moved the earth to pour that slab on it.
Right.
Um,
Yeah, and radon it's odorless. You can't smell it, taste it, touch it, right? So, but it can be harming your health. And the thing that I really like about home inspections is that they're really cheap in comparison to the fixes that you have going on, right? So I think run of the mill home inspections start at maybe $400-ish, $500, and then you can
mm,
add on, right? So a
mhm.
radon inspection would be something that you add on to it, and it's like what, like $200 to add on a radon inspection,
It's $225 to add the
right?
radon inspection to your home inspection. My home inspection starts at $475 for a single family home, 1,500 square feet or less, and then the price just goes up based on square footage from there.
Right.
Uh,
So for $200, you're getting the added reassurance of knowing that you're not being being exposed to this harmful gas. And I will say, say a home does test high for radon, it's very simple to install a radon. I guess it's a mitigation system,
yes.
and basically it's something that goes in your basement and it's monitoring the radon levels over time. And when those radon levels get high, it has a way of just like, I guess, shooting the air out of the basement. Is that right?
No, well, close. Not so much though. It's a little more active of a system than that. It's
Okay.
constantly running. It's constantly
Okay.
gas and exhausting it.
Okay.
The only type of monitor that's on my system, it has a so what it's all that the system is a PVC pipe that is drilled into my slab in the basement, and then that
Hmm.
PVC pipe goes up through my roof. And then in my attic is a fan on that pipe that's always running, and it's sucking
Okay.
the gas from underneath the slab and spitting it out above the
Oh,
roof.
wow. Okay.
Now, in my basement, where the pipe comes up, is a little plastic tube filled with liquid that will show vacuum pressure. That's the
Mhm.
only type of really
Okay.
monitoring to do as a homeowner is it'll tell you the initial vacuum pressure. And then if you look at that and it's down at 0 when it had been at 1 or 2, you'll know
Uh-huh.
that there might be a problem with that. Um,
Okay.
but the way radon is there's no way to know if the home has it without having it tested.
Right. Right. And I guess I get the last homeowner I think I talked to who did a radon mitigation system. It was like $1,800,
Yes.
something like that. So it's not crazy expensive to fix. And that's the other thing about this is you can find foundation problems on the home. You can find roofing problems. All those things. All of those things have a fix, right? It's possible to fix foundation problems. It's
Oh yeah.
possible to replace roofs and fix rafters and all those things. It's just the concern is how much does it cost to fix those things, and
Right.
are those costs built into the price, or is that in addition to the price of the home? And so, especially for home buyers, you want to know: are you going to have enough cash to be able to fix that over time, or is that something you need to negotiate right now, or potentially walk away from the home, right? But radon, that's a huge safety issue. And for $200, I think that's well worth my family's health. Testing for things like that, right? Um,
I agree.
we'll
For
get well,
the mind alone.
yeah. Oh well, tell me, Bobby, what are just some like run of the mill items that you find on inspections? And then I also want to hear what are some nightmare things that you've seen on inspections that really cause you, concern.
All right. Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Yeah. Okay. So run of the mill things. I'm run of the mill items on an inspection are roofing deficiencies, finding a raised shingle, debris in the gutters. Touching back on deferred maintenance items or maintenance items like you mentioned earlier. Those are very common things to find at an inspection. Your gutters are full of debris. Windows might be painted shut or stuck shut. um, Small amounts of wood rot or damaged siding to the outside, deteriorated paint on the outside that can cause that siding to deteriorate. Windows. I do find a lot of windows that the seals are beginning to fail, and those windows will start to fog, where the moisture accumulates in between the panes of glass. So if a home is like 20 years old or older, if they have thermal pane windows, that's something that you're going to want to take a look at. And do they look clear through, or are they pretty hazy to look through? If they're hazy, that's something that you might want to look a little closer and find out, is that in between the panes of glass or not? Those are pretty common things. It's common to find older systems. It's common to find an older water heater or an older air conditioner or furnace. But those, just because the system is maybe approaching its design life or even a couple of years past its design life, does not mean it needs to be replaced. There's systems that can last for well beyond their usable design life, especially if they're maintained. If you have a maintenance plan on your heating and air system and have your filters changed every 90 days, have those systems kind of tuned up every 6 months or so, you can expect that they're going to last at least that 15-year design life or more. I've inspected air conditioners, Matt, that were built in the 60s that were cooling really well.
No way. That's crazy.
And I can't say they were efficient. I'm sure they cost to cool that house, but they still worked.
Right.
So that, in my opinion, that could be something that the knowledge is important to know that, well, it works. I don't want to live with that forever. But is that going to be something that is going to like halt me or stop me from the house? In my opinion, it wouldn't be if that were one of the line items.
Right.
Nightmare things.
Yeah, nightmares. Tell me.
Yeah, I definitely have seen those. I've been in some really, really old properties and really, scary crawl spaces and things like that. Nightmare inspection items, I gotta say, would be mold in the crawl space, or mold in the attic, or really mold anywhere in the home. Um, I've definitely seen it. Not every home needs to be tested for mold. I need to put that out there too. I'm not trying to alarm you and say like, oh my gosh, every single house should get a radon test and a mold test and a sewer scan. If I did that, every inspection would be like $1,500. That's
Right.
not what I'm. That's not. It's not needed. A lot of those services can be added real time at the inspection based on my findings.
Right.
Um, Rodents. I've find some rodents or termites. Termites are definitely a nightmare.
Yeah.
I have seen some terrible termite damage to the structure of a home that requires, all of the flooring framing to be rebuilt. Um, Georgia is the number 2 leading state in the nation for new termite infestations.
Oh, wow.
You know who's number 1?
Florida?
Yes.
Yeah, I nailed it. Yeah. Yeah,
Nailed it.
termites are a big problem, and this is I've done a video about this before, but homeowners definitely need a termite policy on their home, and so kind of the gold standard is a bond or warranty. So that's where the termite company is promising to repair or replace whatever happens if you get termites. So essentially, they're guaranteeing that you're not going to get termites. And then another policy you'll see is just for termite treatment. But it's really important as a home buyer to ask those questions of the seller. Is there a termite bond on the home? What have they been doing? And a lot of times, if an older home, if they were trying to cut costs, they didn't have a termite plan. The problem with termites is they swarm up out of the ground in the spring, and they're in places like my crawl space. I don't go in my crawl space. I avoid it, right, as much as I
Right.
can. But by the time you realize you have termites, you already have thousands of dollars worth of damage. So that's why it's really important. It's like an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And now as an inspector, you're not a certified termite inspector, right? But
No.
there's a lot. You're getting into the spaces, and you could see times of where maybe there had been termites in the past, and evidence. And there's also other insects that can damage your joists and things like that too. So
Yeah.
well That's awesome. With rodents, I think rodents are more of just an ick factor
Yeah.
for people. But I think everybody who owns a home at some point has had a rat, a squirrel, some kind of rodent trying to get into your home in some way or another. And at least in my neighborhood, I feel like when somebody's having a problem with rodents and then they pay for the intrusion, they have the pest control or the pest control company come out and fix it. Those rodents just go to the house next door. That I feel like that's just like an ongoing battle in some neighborhoods, especially around Atlanta, you know. But
Yeah.
but yeah, but certainly, you know, you can see foundation issues and cracks in concrete block and in bricks and things like that with a good inspection. You know, you in climbing into the attic, you know, you can see if there's you know, I've had inspectors ask me like, "Hey, did a tree fall in this home? Because you know the rafters are broken in a certain place, and like it looks like they replaced the roof, but they didn't fix these rafters and things." So,
Yeah.
so a good inspector will really give you peace of mind of knowing like what's happening, what's going on with the home, how much it will cost to repair, those kind of items. So, Bobby, I really appreciate you walking us through. Oh, I guess one last question. How about for a new construction? Should somebody get an inspection on a new construction home because you know the county or whatever municipality is going to be checking to make sure that they're following appropriate zoning, right? Should you get an inspection?
I would. Yeah, and the county inspector, the code inspector, they have a very specific list of items that they're looking at, as far as safety items for the home. But they're not making sure that the builder did everything correctly, as far as making sure that there's no plumbing leaks going on, making sure that the roof trusses were installed properly, or the flashing on the roof was installed properly. A code inspection is critical and it's needed for a new construction home, but it leaves so much unknown. Um, I inspect new construction homes all the time. A lot in a really good scenario, there might only be a couple of items that the builder may have missed. I always like to explain that the builder is a team of, like, it could be 20 or 30 different contractors coming through the home, and the builder, your point of contact, or the general contractor, he's relying on so many people to make sure that things are done. He's only got two eyes. So it's very
Right.
important the inspector comes through, make sure. And like I said, a great new construction inspection might have 5 to 10 items on it. And I found up to 20 or 30 maintenance items or needed items on a new construction home. If I were buying a brand new home, I wouldn't want to walk in the door and then have to start making repairs or having faucets that are loose or leaky. A bill on that note, all new construction homes come with a builder warranty. It's a 1 year warranty of those systems to make sure that everything's working properly. It's up to the homeowner to present the builder with any problems that are happening with the home, and then the builder will repair those. I can offer builder warranty inspections, which would take place 10 to 11 months after you've moved in, but a month or so before your warranty expires. And I perform a re-inspection, or a whole new inspection of the property, looking at everything all over again, testing out everything. And then any leaks I find, or any problems I find, or issues with the home, you have a document you can then provide to the builder to have all those items repaired. So I do feel the necessity to have a new construction home inspected, and have that builder warranty inspected a year later.
Yeah, those are great points. So yeah, I did a major renovation at my house, and you know, our local municipality inspector came to kind of check off on the building permits. You know, he's just outside smoking a cigarette, throws it in, walks in, and like literally was inside for 30 seconds. Was like, yeah, it looks good, and walks out. You know, on to the next thing. You know, they don't really have a vested interest in catching all those things. And with a builder, they are running crews of subs that are in and out, in and out. And it's really easy for something to not get tied in correctly. And one of the things that Bobby and a good inspector will do is just they'll go in and they'll turn all of the water faucets on. They'll run the dishwasher, run the washing machine, all that kind of stuff, because that will tell you if everything's working correctly, if all the appliances are working correctly, and also if there's going to be any leaks. Now, they can't guarantee because they can't quite see inside the walls, but that will tell you a lot more than just the local code enforcement officer kind of walking in and walking out. So that's why it's really helpful to. In my mind, this is easy money. It's like, why would you not pay a few $100s just to know what's happening, what's going on, and what are the potential ticking time bombs for the home. But especially during due diligence, you can negotiate to have those repairs fixed or have them contribute money towards closing, and especially right now. So Bobby, thank you so much for joining us on this. What's the best way? All right, so for a home buyer, if you're out looking at homes with your agent, again, I would just say, that let your agent know that you know an inspector that you'd like to use, and they should be totally fine with that. And so, Bobby, what's the best way that people could get in touch with you to be able to order that inspection?
I'll give you 3 ways. I'm going to give you my phone number that's clearly right here. That's my office line, 770-656-2209. I have a staff of employees there to answer any questions you have about a home inspection and get you scheduled and walk you through the scheduling process, asking about any of our extra services like a radon test or a mold test or something like that. Right below, it's a little bit harder to read, but my website is right here, atlhomeinspector.com. Please go to my website and check it out. There's a wealth of knowledge on there for new home buyers. There is a library full of resources ranging anything from how a roof inspection is performed to what is radon and what are the hazard potentials, anything about aluminum wiring. There's information on there to answer any questions that you might have. And that's also a good place that you could order your home inspection. Again, that's atlhomeinspector.com. And I want to give you all my cell phone number because, like I said, I am the owner of the company and I want you all to use me as a resource. And think of me. When you call my cell phone, you get me. You're not going to get a random 1-800 number. I will answer any questions that you have while you're looking at homes before you've hired me. If you're looking at a foundational crack and you're like, I really love this home and I see this crack, is this really that bad? I know I'm going to have the home inspected. Let me give Bobby a call and just get his quick opinion as far as I can stick my finger in the crack. Bobby, is that too big? Is that too wide? Okay. My cell phone is 404-457-5673. That's 404-457-5673. Again, use me as a resource. I only charge for my time spent on the property. I will help you out anywhere along the process. Matt, thank you so much for having me. Thanks for your time.
Yeah, Bobby, thanks so much for joining me today. I think this was really great information for home buyers and learning more about the process of getting an inspection. So to our audience, thanks again for joining us. My name is Matt Martin. So if you want to get started on the path to home ownership, drop me a note or let's set up a phone call today because I'd love to hear more about your needs and what you're thinking, especially as we try to deal with this turbulent market. But also, your feedback and comments are important for helping this community grow. We want to help as many people as we can become Atlanta's newest homeowner. So if you have a question or a topic suggestion, drop it in the comments below or send me a message and leave a comment. So I'd love to hear from you guys. Be sure to connect with us on social media. Hit the like and subscribe button. I'll also share Bobby's contact info wherever you're watching this as well. But thank you all for joining, and we'll sign off for now. Take care.
Thank you, Matt.